Richards. I'm a owner of Richards Grassfed Beef, and I am currently living with my family on our ranch up in Organ House, California. So my great-grandfather purchased this land in 1941. And then it's now our generation's turn to run it. And how we kind of got started with AGA is my brother and sister and I were kind of looking at the ranch and wondering what, the next generation stamp on it was going to be. And kind of simultaneously, the Where Does Your Food Come From movement was happening. And it was something we were very interested in. And, we were like, hello, we're already raising grass-fed beef. We're only finishing, a couple a year for our family and friends. Let's test it out. So my brother and sister and I lived in the Bay Area at the time. This was about 2012. And we were selling wholes and halves to families and friends, and, swim meets, soccer matches. I sold a half beef to my book club, and it was just kind of real scrappy at first. And, we got a lot of questions about, like, where's it come from? How do we know it's grass-fed and whatnot? And so that's why we reached out to American Grass-Fed, because as we all know, labels and certifications are important. So we kind of wanted something that we could put a stamp on our product and people would know what it meant, and they would know that we're following these, protocols. So that's what led us to AGA. Our, scrappy little meat company selling wholes and halves got pretty popular. And so in about 2013, we hired a sales guy, full-time sales guy, and started selling wholesale and retail online a little bit. About that time was when my husband and I were wondering, one of us might need to be up at the ranch, because it was just my dad up here in the crew. And so he and I, kind of looked at what we were doing and we're like, can we make this happen? So we rented our house in the Bay, moved up to the ranch in 2016, and, just kind of dove into the business and kind of never looked back. It was one of those things where we're like, we'll do it for a year, we'll see how it goes. And, my dad's getting older, and it's kind of time for the next generation to take this place over and run it, the way that they want to run it, and how do we preserve it for the next generation? So, we've been here since 2016. It's been a whirlwind. Within a year of me being here, I was kind of introduced to holistic grazing and regenerative practices, and I got really excited and dove into that really hardcore and joined the Savory Institute. And now we host classes up here, and we have multiple species, and we're just kind of, doing it all. And we're really excited to be part of AGA. They have been great from day one, because we kind of needed, I reached out to them also for guidance. And they connected me with other producers in California, and that's been really great. And I'm friends with those people still today. So that's kind of where we are now. We're still doing wholesale and retail. Obviously, restaurants have fallen off quite a bit. So we're mostly in grocery stores, small markets, butcher shops. That's kind of our market at the moment. And then we also sell retail online. And we also sell wholesale to other retailers that sell our product online. So that's where we are today.
Well, I don't have any more questions to ask you now, and we're done. No, see, and this isn't just to lift the producers up, but it's also to educate consumers a little bit. And I think that, looking at the value in what you're producing, think about the amount of work that goes into that versus, and that's what justifies the price, is the amount of work you're putting into this, the amount of materials that go into raising that cow, the amount of time it takes to raise that cow compared to a grain finished or a grain from the start cow. It's obviously justified in what you're paying for.
Yeah, it's more labor intensive for sure. But the standard that we are trying to hold ourselves to is we don't want to take more from the land than we give back. So we have to give it that rest. And it's so important for the health of everything on our land, you know, even the wildlife and whatnot. We noticed this year we have so many more deer than we've had in the past. And so, you know, I'd like to say that's because of my grazing. Maybe it has a little bit to do with it, but it's interesting to see each year and see things change. So that's been really exciting.
How do the animals tie into the land, and that ultimately tie into us as consumers and even people who aren't consuming these products?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, it depends on how you look at it. So if I just didn't graze this property, it would turn into a wall of brush. And, you know, that's good for, you know, wildlife, but it means that none of the grasses would grow. And then the deer would avoid coming here and they'd go somewhere else, and maybe they'd end up in people's yards. And it's just things like that, that if you just let this land just be, it would get taken over by brush and trees. And if you graze it, it keeps the soils really good, really alive, and it gives food for not just the cattle, it's for the deer and for all the other birds and ground nesting birds and everybody, like they're people. The animals, they have a place to come to. The water holes will stay. They won't turn into just little valleys of grass and then eventually brush. So I'm maintaining the land for not just the cattle, but for all of the animals and wildlife and birds. And so how that affects everybody is if you consume our products, you are consuming an animal that has been eating what it's supposed to be eating, which is forage and hay. So that makes, in my mind, that is a healthier animal than something that's being forced to eat whatever in a feedlot. And then also down the hill, if I sell this land to someone that's going to farm it and pour a bunch of chemicals, that's going to pour it into all the creeks, and the creeks are going to drain into the lakes, and the lakes drain into the rivers, and you all see how that is connected. And so another thing we are not doing is we don't use any chemicals or sprays or anything. So all the water that drains off of our land into the creeks and streams is clean. And so I feel like living up the hill from all the valleys and the people living in the valley, we are stewarding the land to make sure that, you know, nothing that runs off our land has chemicals or anything harmful for anybody. And also we're taking care of the land up here so that all the animals can be healthy and happy.
So why are you passionate about what you do? You know, raising nutritious food for people.
You know, I had some health issues like in my 20s. Pizza and beer just didn't work anymore, turns out. And I started to do a lot of research, basically. I read vegan books, I read pastured meat books, I read everything. And I kind of found my path. And part of the reason why my brother and sister and I decided to do this is because I was getting really involved in all of this health stuff because for myself, and everything I read was like pastured meats, like that's the way to go. Eat animals that are grass fed, not fed what they're not supposed to be eating and fed with a bunch of antibiotics. And, you know, I just started going down this path where I was like, well, I know this is working for me because I feel better. And I know that what we're doing at the ranch is great and always can be improved. And so let's provide this awesome product for our friends and family and see how they like it. Turns out they really liked it. And so it was just, and then once I got here, I was excited about the meat that we were providing for friends and family. But when I got here and met all the biologists and went to all the conferences and really learned about pasture management and really learned about holistic management and all of that, that's what I got really excited about, because you are able to help your own environment that you're working on. You can help it. You can help it, you can nurture it, you can take care of it. It's not just an extraction. And, you know, farming in the past, it has been an extraction. And so I want to make sure to give back to the land. And I also want to provide as healthy of products as I can for my friends and family and customers. And it's just one of those things where you can just really, I can truly feel good about what I'm doing. And that is a really, really awesome place to work from.
So I'm going to get into the label a little bit. So
Yeah.
first of all, there's a lot of confusion about the issue of, not among the people that are deep into this, but in the general public, about the difference between grass-fed, grass-finished beef and something like grass-fed beef that you pick up at the store. So what can you explain that a little bit?
Yes. So, all right, let me start from the beginning. Almost every cow eats grass most of their life. So there's that. So every cow essentially is grass-fed. There are small exceptions to this rule with Wagyu, and some animals go straight to the feedlot. Our animals are grass-fed, grass-finished. So what that means is they were born on pasture, they're raised on pasture, they're finished on pasture. They don't go to a feedlot, they're not fed grain, corn, any of that business, Skittles. They're just fed grass and hay. And their supplements, obviously, they're mineral supplements.
So what's the difference when you're buying an AGA certified product?
The difference is, like I said before, that animal is raised on grass or pasture their whole life. They are never confined. They are never fed antibiotics, grain, any kind of grain, corn, soy. And those animals, you can rest assured that they are truly pasture raised.
I want to tell other producers how important it is to get an American Grass-Fed Association certification. How does that help you in marketing your products?
So like I said, in the beginning, we got asked 1,000 questions. Where's it from? How's it raised? Did it have corn? And I really love AGA for one. They've been really easy to work with. At first we would send a certifier out and they would do a little checklist, and we were like really nervous about the certification at first, but they want you to get certified. So it's not like they're coming out with the gotcha. Like, no, they're coming out to help you get certified because they believe in their practices. So getting certified has been really easy and really, really helpful. Also, the AGA, American Grass-Fed Association stamp on our product has been really helpful because people know, okay, that's a grass-fed certification. They're following some rules. They can look it up really easily and look what the practices are. So it's been really great to have basically like a stamp of approval that we can say, see, we're not just saying we're grass-fed. We got this certification that we renew every year.
And now, in addition to that, consumers can also go to americangrassfed.org, and in the consumer section can actually find producers near them that are producing grass-fed beef and be able to locate your farm or one near them. So now, not to say, now I know you said now obviously they're there to help you. Now, not to say that it's not a stringent certification. Because I think that everyone is like, most of the people I've talked to said, like, the certification itself is strict, although, they're not there to, like you said, it's not a gotcha type thing. I mean, they're there to help you and raise you up. But how can we get your products? I saw you shipping to a couple states.
We are shipping to the entire West Coast now. So richardsgrassfedbeef.com, we're shipping from Utah west. So we're really excited about that. Someday we'll ship a little further, but our shipping company just isn't there yet. So we're kind of starting small. We were just in California at first. And we sell all up and down California in grocery stores and restaurants. And if that's a question that people want to ask us, they can just email us through the website, because some people want to buy fresh, which I understand. And so they go to our butcher shops that we sell to and buy it there. We are in Sacramento Food Co-op. We've been put in a couple co-ops, which is really exciting. And then in the Bay Area, we're in Buy Right and Gus's Market, Barron's Meats, and then in Napa and San Francisco, we're Fatted Calf. So we're kind of doing the smaller meat, the smaller like butcher shop type of stores.
Well, thank you so much for meeting with me today. It's been seriously a pleasure. in the interest of your phone's battery life, and I think you've answered just about anything I can ask you. Is there anything you'd like to leave consumers with, or anyone with, public?
Yeah, I mean, I just, to like say again, the American Grassfed Association's been really, really great to us. I've reached out to Carrie many times and been like, help, I need to find this. And then she always finds me someone. So like, she's been great from day one. So I just want to say that the American Grassfed Association is a wonderful operation.